Hello and welcome to the Glassgirls Network with me, Jonathan. We've got Kieran here today as well. How you doing, mate?
I'm very good, thank you. Been a while since we've been back in the Glassgirls Network headquarters, but yeah, obviously buzzing to be here.
Yeah, we're going to try and do this every month, so we're going to use this space for every month and have a bit of a roundup. If you do too often, you're going over old ground, whereas I feel like once a month, catching up on the last few games and a few predictions for the future works well, and that's what I'm going to discuss a little bit today. Past, present and future. So the past meeting about 5-6 weeks ago when we did a show, we'll discuss about our expectations there and see if it was right, if it was wrong. Can laugh at each other a little bit as well if we probably got something wrong. But I think we pretty much guessed quite a few things correctly, which is not a bad thing at all. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the present, the players, how we feel that they're getting on and what's been enjoyable to watch. And then we've got Anthony at the end of the show. Wonders of technology, managed to get him at home on StreamYard so we can hear what he has to say about the upcoming weeks. So excited show. But before we start, Kieran, we did mention in the last show about a couple of partnerships that we've come into. So
let's move it on.
Yes, move it on. Switch Sport, fantastic. So Switch Sport, if you don't know what Switch Sport is, where have you been?
Yeah.
Switch Sport basically covers National League football. It is the home of National League football. Saturdays is the men's football. Sundays is women's football. And Kevin Moore runs Switch Sport. And every Sunday he covers a Birmingham-based women's football team. He also has Joe Skelton working with him, who's been covering Donny Bell's, Sheffield, and now the Lincoln teams this year. So there's a bit of an announcement to make. There's going to be Switch Sport 3, which is going to be covering Black Country teams, and this is where we come in. So we are now officially a member of Switch Sport. It's not been announced yet, so this is breaking news. I've been doing all my training so I can actually host a radio broadcast. Going through all the legal documents this week with Kev. So yeah, we'll be covering Black Country teams. So if you don't go to Stourbridge, maybe could be the Harriers, Calcer, Loy, as far down as Worcester perhaps. So it just opens up another avenue for Switch Sport. But obviously we're very privileged to be involved in that officially. So great news there. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. But Kieran, do you fancy yourself on the radio?
Yeah, potentially. I don't think I've made my Switch Sport debut just yet, but we were meant to somewhere last season.
Yeah.
And something went really wrong with Kev's equipment, and it just didn't end up.
Oh, that was the one, wasn't it?
I can't remember where that was.
Maybe away or something.
Somewhere like that, wasn't it? Yeah, I can't remember exactly. But yeah, maybe sometime this season. If not next season, roll it on for sure. But yeah, it's a really exciting thing that you guys have got set up. With Switch. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what comes of that, because I think it's very, very good for the game and for the area as a whole.
Perfect. I mean, whenever you reply, like say Calcer away or not Albion away, because that's obviously already happened, but I know that you're obviously on the mic, so you can't get involved as much on the home games, but the away games you certainly can, and Kev wants you involved, and all the Glassgirls Network community to support you where we can. Talking a little bit about this, what we've expected already. Next slide, Kieran. We're going to put this thumbnail on. There we go. So if you haven't seen this podcast, watch it. It was back about 5-6 weeks ago. We recorded this between Donny Bell's pre-season and Wolves' opening game of the season. So watch it back if you want to. We made a few predictions. And that's kind of what we want to open the show up on.
Yeah.
So we predicted that we play attacking football, and that it would entertain the fans. Defending from the front. So let's start off on that prediction there. What are your thoughts on our playing style and how we've started in regards to entertainment value?
Yeah, I think it's been good. I think especially in those first two games, Wolves and Burnley, obviously two sides that you weren't expecting to get anything from. We know they're going to be right up there come the end of the season, but the way that we set about the game and the way that we put ourselves across in that, I think was really, really positive. And then you look at some of the teams that we're expected to potentially be, like Boldmere and Halifax as well, and we did just that. We played really, really nice football on both of those occasions. And then it was games that were were exciting, were just as we described really. I'd say potentially the only one that let us down potentially might have been Nottingham Forest, but obviously they're a cut above everyone else, right? So I guess it's expected almost, but I think we've pretty much nailed it really. We expected attacking football, exciting football, and I think that's what we've got so far.
Yeah, I think definitely against some of the tier 4 teams, Bolmia was probably my standout performance. Obviously we won that game, but I think that scoreline, I wouldn't say flattered Bolmia, but we could have scored more. The amount of domination that we had, and we actually dominated that game, and that actually showed what this team can do. Obviously it's always going to be difficult against your Wolves and your Burnleys and your Forests, but it shows that if we're against kind of like an equal team or one that's a little bit less, you can kind of see what A was trying to do, and I don't think we've been let down there at all. I think everything that we thought was going to happen has happened. Obviously we know it's going to be difficult against the top teams, and we mentioned that on the show as well. League position wise, the prediction was not from us 10th, and that's where we are. I'd aim for a little bit higher. I still think that's achievable. The top half of the bottom half means we could finish 9th. That's more than possible because Hull are only 3 points ahead of us with such a long way to go. Any surprises in regards to league position, or is it pretty much as you expect?
Yeah, not really. I think like we said, 10th is where we predicted come the end of the season. Obviously we're 10th now with a lot of games still to play, like you say, but we've beaten Halifax, who we were wanting to beat. Obviously the whole result potentially a bit disappointing there, but could have got something, but wasn't to be on that occasion. But yeah, I think it's just I think it's clear for us, and that's what we said at the start of the season, that there are 2 teams worse than us at the moment, which are Halifax and Calcer. So yeah, hopefully that continues. Potentially, pick up a few rogue results here and there. Obviously, hopefully win against Halifax at home, and Calcer you'd want to win home and away as well. But then against your Stokes, your Derbies, your potentially West Brom at home. Could you pick something up against those type of teams? You never know, do you? Hopefully. So yeah, I think that's going to be really, really exciting to see how that sort of unfolds, and if we can climb even higher like Abe wants.
Yeah, perfect. I think it's what we're saying now is pretty much what we were saying, wasn't it, back then, and I don't think much has changed. I think what we're saying is, can we get a point against Derby, Feds, Albion, and this is kind of what we was kind of looking at. I think the league that we predicted at the start of the season is pretty much the league that we're seeing now. I think Liverpool, Feds have probably done a little bit probably better than I thought. But having said that, I don't know what games that they've actually played yet, how many of the top teams that they've played, so maybe their league position might be a bit inflated, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think those are your teams. We've still got Derby to play before Christmas, so we can sneak something against them. And yeah, as you said, I'm only just repeating what you said, we've still got Albion to play down at the Moor as well, so plenty of points available. Harry Grimshaw was a player that we mentioned and spoke a lot about in the last podcast. There's plenty of names that we could talk about, but we just want to reflect on what we said at the start of the season. She's kind of just carried on, hasn't she, all the way through. I was standing next to a few fans at the Albion game, and she went quiet for about 10 minutes, and there was a few of the parents actually shouting over to her saying, "Come on, be louder, Harriet," because she went quiet for about 10 minutes. And then she just switched it on and she started again. But I think that's the only time that I've seen her quiet. You've been to every game this season, Kieran. Just what are your thoughts on Harriet, because she has a little stare one bit actually at the moment?
No, I think she's an absolutely phenomenal goalkeeper for her age as well. I think she's absolutely incredible. We saw it in pre-season. We saw the first time we even saw her. We noted her vocality and the way she commands her defence, and that's continued right into the league itself. She's probably been our standout player so far this season, up there potentially with a few other names as well. I'm sure we'll go into a bit later.
Can do,
But yeah, for me, she's been right up there, and if it wasn't for her saves, some of the score lines, I know we've lost quite a few of the games already, but it could have been plenty more goals, and we know how important goal difference could be in this league. So yeah, it's great to see Harriet going from strength to strength with us, really.
Yeah, She settled in really well. You must have such confidence in yourself to be able to talk like she has, like she does do. And I think she was one of the early ones that was brought in over the summer. So obviously, she has been around for a little while, but for a brand new player to come straight in and have that confidence is great. And coming from Sheffield Academy as well, she was taught day in, day out. It wasn't just like a couple of days a week. She was training for a lot longer than 2 days a week. So, let's keep that physicality up, let's keep up that fitness, let's keep up that mentality. And she could really push on, couldn't she? And we've been so blessed to have 3 fantastic goalkeepers through our years following, in Tier 5, Tier 4, and last year as well. And Harry's definitely not letting us down at the moment, is she?
No, definitely not. I think obviously no disrespect towards Jamie Lee Bamford as well, but losing her, I think we all knew how big of a loss that was going to be.
Yeah.
And for me, I worried bringing in a young keeper who doesn't have that much first team experience at all. But we're definitely in safe hands, safe gloves with Harriet here. So I'm really, really buzzing that we've got her and that she's a Stourbridge player.
Fantastic, absolutely, yeah. Halifax. So we made the prediction on here on this show a few weeks ago that Halifax could be the one that slips into the relegation area. Them are the ones that potentially we could catch. We was talking about, okay, if he was going to finish higher than 10th, who could we claw down and catch? Halifax, unfortunately for them, it looks like it's them. And I'm a fan where I love to watch Albion last year lose. He was catching Albion up, but you never want to see a team like crumble. And at the moment, it looks like Halifax are in a bad way. I'd like to think that they've got enough knowledge and enough contacts up north where they can develop the squad and get out of the hole that they're in. But you look at some of the fixtures that are coming up, they don't get any easier whatsoever.
No.
So it's a bit of a controversial question because it shouldn't really matter what any other club does. It shouldn't really affect us. But has Halifax dropping down as much as they have, has that kind of saved us a little bit? Because that appears at the moment that's one position in the relegation zone that's almost not confirmed at this stage, but looking like it's going to be Halifax. Has that kind of saved us, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, early on, we knew that we were going to be there or thereabouts. I'm not going to say that we were looking like we were ever going to get relegated, but it was being down in the bottom half was definitely a contention for us.
Yeah.
So to have a team that did decently last season, they took points off us
massively.
So for them to drop down in the way that they have. Again, like you say, it's not nice, but it aids us, loads because it's just one less team that we have to worry about potentially finishing above us, which is always a positive.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%. We was quite positive coming out of pre-season, and even after the Wolves game, even after the Burnley game was positive. Obviously, we saw that playing style against Donny Bells in pre-season, which was great. That first league game against Wolves, we lost 4-0, but then Halifax and Hull lost 9 or 10-0. And I remember we were sitting at the Memorial Ground, and I said to you, Kieran, I need to talk. Let's do a video. Let's do a match reaction because I was buzzing. And then the Burnley game, only losing 4-0. We actually went 1-0 up in that game as well. Was it 3-1? Sorry, 3-1 was it, I think.
Yeah, 3-1 in the end.
3-1. Yeah, but we went 1-0 up. I suppose, were we overly positive, or I think we had reason to be positive. But do you think any of us was getting a little bit too carried away because we didn't get any points on the board, but we was kind of comparing ourselves to other teams? I think we had every right to be positive.
Yeah.
But were we right to do that? Do you think? Yeah,
I think so. I think you've got to commend the positives when they come, especially against those tougher teams as well. And I said it after the Bolmere result. I think seeing a win on the cards helped aid to know that what he's doing is actually working.
Yeah.
That he's not just putting in these hours of training and whatever to put in a performance. He wants to get results.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, performances don't get you any points. To get good performances on the board, I think definitely helps confidence as well, and I think that's a big part of winning matches and potentially staying in this league is going to be the mentality of the players, who's in it, in those gritty times when we've got our backs against the wall, and who wants to fight to stay in this league. And I think the ones that put in those good performances then will be the ones that are really, really keen to be part of the established squad. So I think the good performances, hopefully they don't stop coming. We've got a few games that potentially there might be some chances to get a few points in coming up soon. So if we can play like we did against Wolves and Burnley and Halifax as well, if we can play like we did in those 3 games against any of these teams, then I think we've got more than enough of a chance to scrape a few points.
Yeah, bang on, yeah. And just finish with this last segment here. We both sat here and said 10th at the start of the season. We can have a look at the league table now, Kieran. That's exactly where we are. And we both said, we'll be happy with 10th. We don't expect anything more. And this is just me and you saying this. Not speaking on behalf of anybody else. Me and you both said we'd be happy with 10th. With everything that went on over the summer, looking at the league table, we'd be happy with 10th. Are you still happy now that we're 10th?
100%. Yeah, 10th keeps you in the league.
Exactly.
That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got that game in hand as well on Hull and Derby actually, so potential to get even closer to them lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, Halifax and Calcer have also got those games as well. But yeah, it's looking good. It's shaping up well. Obviously, those 2 teams at the bottom have got a slightly worse goal difference than us as well, so that always helps. Obviously, you can see your teams up there that are running away with it, and we were never expected to get anywhere near that.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely going to be a case of the league is separated into almost 3/3 rather than 2 halves. It's almost 3/3.
Massively.
So if we can sort of start to edge up there slightly even more, even if it's just improving the goal difference or not letting the goal difference get too bad, then I think I'm happy with it.
Thoroughly agree. Talking, just looking at some of that, you can see Castle at the bottom, but they've still yet to play any of the bottom 3. You've got Halifax that's got a point on the board already. However, they have got a tough run of games. Stourbridge have still got Castle to play before Christmas, and then Hull on the January the 5th, I think, Hull away. So, we can really go into Christmas with some points on the board, can't we? Still got Derby to play before Christmas. Wolves at home before Christmas. So you never know. We can creep up, but if you show me the league table, end of the season we finished 10th. I'm still massively happy about that. So that's where we look in regards to the league.
Right, for the next bit, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the players. Obviously, we've mentioned Harriet, of course. Yeah, it's only been 5 minutes. But yeah. We're going to talk about some of the other girls that have impressed us so far this season.
There's been a few.
There really has. Like I say, I think Harriet has been probably our standout for me personally. But there's a lot of names that I'd also put in that hat. So let's go through a few of them.
Okay.
The captain, Rosie Emily, and also the vice captain as well, who we've been seeing a lot of wearing the armband recently, Daisy Clements. Let's start with Rosie first. Obviously taking the armband. Scoring a couple of penalties already. Actually, probably our leading goal scorer. Actually, no, Leo's got 3. But
at one point she was.
Yeah, definitely close behind on 2 goals so far. How's Rosie been for you as captain so far?
Before we started the podcast, we actually spoke about how much of a tough job and how much of a big job it would be this season more than most to be a captain of a brand new team, going in a brand new direction, brand new manager. She's got to be the link between the manager and the players. That's kind of how I see it, and she's got to see things from all different angles. She's playing on a different area of the pitch compared to last season, even though I think it's her preferred role and probably her favourite role.
Yeah.
There's got a lot of noise coming from, obviously, not necessarily social media, but like around the ground. So it's not just noise from the players and the managers. Obviously, she will hear things around the ground as well, and she's just got so much to. Her head must be like bamboozled to some extent, but I also think that she's probably one of the few characters on the pitch that would be able to deal with it and take it in a stride.
Yeah.
You did a cracking interview with her after the Burnley game, was it? I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Lovely to hear her talk, and I want to see more of that. There's a massive picture to be the captain, and you can't just like look at one little instance here and there. And I think she's got a huge job, but she's dealt with it in my opinion. The, you look at some of the results that she's got, and the area that she and the pitch that she plays in, it's just not easy, is it? And you've got to pick the players up when they're losing, or when they're still in a game. You've got to keep motivating them. I see a lot of leadership qualities in Rosie, and it's just it's so hard. You could say it's hard because it's a brand new team, but you could also say it's a blessing because no one probably knew her that well. She's got a lot of youngsters that she can kind of mould and kind of, it can work in her favour as well. But just captaincy wise, I think she's done a cracking job. You mentioned the goals that she scored as well, yeah. Burnley was a great goal. We got that on camera, didn't we?
Yeah,
we went 1-0 on that game. The composure in that penalty was great. I think she's had a good performance. I think she's been very solid as a CDM. I think we missed her when she wasn't, when she had them 2 weeks off. I think it was quite visible. You missed some experience on the pitch. I think there's still more to come from Rosie, but I think that'll come with time when her players kind of step up as well around her. But she's like one of the few tier 3 established players that we've got in that team, and sometimes we forget that. You got her, you got Lizzie, who are probably two of the only players that probably play more than 25 games in tier 3. Could be wrong, there might be one or two others, but there's not many. So she's had to work very hard to get everyone up to a tier 3 level.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just my opinion. It might not be that might not be the challenge, but to me that is hard to do. I don't know what your thoughts are on Rosie.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think she's back for this weekend, so it'll be really, really good to see her back in that role that we know she can play really, really well in midfield. I think you're right with what you say about her having so many, having the spotlight on her almost as being the captain, being sort of, I guess the face of the team, right? That's what your captain is.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really tough, especially if you're in a side that you're going to be up against it for a lot of games this season. People might look to you for some, I don't know, guidance, inspiration, something like that. If she can provide that, then she's definitely a suited captain. Like you mentioned, a lot of experience in tier 3. So I think she is probably the one in the squad that is made for the role. You said it yourself. She seems like someone that is very level-headed, doesn't let outside info bother her too much, and I think that's really important as well.
You mentioned Daisy Clemens. I think I'm not surprised. I can imagine she being one that a lot of players look up to as well, in a different way. But I can imagine if she says something, the players would listen. And I think just work right alone. I think I haven't heard any fan in the stadium, and we chat to a lot of them, that's questioned anything in regards to Daisy's work rate and how hard she works. So we kind of debated in the last show that we did in the studio who would be the deputy. And if I'm honest, I might have thought about Daisy, but I don't think we actually named anybody.
No,
But it kind of makes sense for it to be Daisy, someone who's been with the club as well a little bit longer than some of the others. So makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. If it's a decision that A gets to say, and he knows her better than anyone. So
exactly.
So he knows all about her leadership qualities, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think Daisy's done really, really well this season. And again, one of the standout players, like you say, never stops running.
Yeah.
Has played in loads of positions as well. She's played sort of in midfield, out wide, pretty much anywhere that Aid's asked her to play. So she's done really, really well so far this season. Grace Rogers, we're going to talk a little bit about her, the little magician in midfield, one of our little magicians in midfield, should I say?
Yeah.
She's been starting a fair few games, and absolutely fair play to her, because we potentially question whether it's a step up for her. We've been speaking about the reserves league and how big of a step that is up into to actual women's football. And she's done really, really well. You can tell that she's one of the younger ones.
Yeah. But
she's held her own in a lot of the games, and it's all valuable experience as well. Getting that sort of first team experience when you're however old she is going to be invaluable to her football progression.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head with a few things that you just said there, and my mind just casted back just as you were saying that, how grateful Grace was to have the opportunity, and that's what she tweeted out or she put on Facebook. I think it was on Twitter maybe. she just like quite retweeted that when she was retained, she said something along the lines of grateful of this opportunity, and I think that's exactly what it is. It's an opportunity to see one of the youngsters come through, one of the best ones that was in the pathway last year, playing in an area of the pitch where if you don't play good, you'll get found out. Sometimes you can hide in certain positions. You can't hide it in the centre of midfield, and she's up against some very, very talented players who will probably play in Tier 2 next year. She'd come up against some Forest players, and I don't know if she was on the pitch against Burnley, I think she might have been, but she's up against some very stronger than her, taller than her, physical, more experienced than her. But it's a great story that she's made it this far and stepped out of male shadows this season. Yes, it's nice to talk about the sisters on the pitch together, but they are two different people now. That they're both starting games, and I don't look at them as sisters anymore. I look at Grace Rogers as a player, not as Mill's sister.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the first time that's happened, and I don't mean that in a negative way in the past at all. But it's Grace Rogers now, and I think it's great to see, and great for the parents who are watching them both.
Yeah, 100%. It must be such an amazing moment for them. You're watching both their daughters start week in, week out for Starbridge now, a club that they clearly both love.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's talk about our strike force.
Very forceful.
Obviously, Mill Rogers, Leo Joyce, and Daisy Clements, sort of the front three, if you want to call it that. Maybe even stick Gwen in there as the 10, sort of linking them all together. But we'll speak about those three just for the starters. Yeah, they've done really, really well this season. Obviously, Mill and Daisy work their socks off every single game. The numbers in the kilometres ran that they must rack up is mental. Because every loose ball they're always pressing it. No matter what the scoreline is, no matter how far away it is, they'll go and chase that down and try and win the ball back. High up in possession. And Leo, obviously, like we said, our leading goal scorer so far this season. It's been really, really, enjoyable to watch those three link up in the attacking positions together.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, they all play like different areas of the pitch as well. So there's not necessarily one that's a fun player. Like I said before, they could play across that front three, which is what we've seen. I think when you see Mill, she just oozes passion, doesn't she? She's the one that wanted to come back to the club in pre-season. She loves this club, and she's doing everything she can to keep us in Tier 3. You look at the hard work that you mentioned. Naturally plays more on the left side, but from what I've seen this season, but she can play down the middle. Where I kind of like her down the middle because I like Leo on the right and Daisy down the left. So that's the way I like to look at it. But that's got nothing to do with tactics. That's just like easy on the eye, I guess. It just works out quite well that way. Daisy has been phenomenal. I think her best game has been against Bolmere. Not just because of the goal, but I just think the amount of space that she managed to create and the havoc, the freed up space for everybody else. It's a shame that it's a league game because I think it might have got unnoticed by a few. But that game for me really stood out. It's very hard because when you're against top players, you can't always do what you want to do, can you? You try your hardest, but you're very restricted. Whereas, if you're playing against some of the weaker teams, that's where you can really see how good they are. When you're against the top teams, then you might not even get the ball. So it's very hard as a striker, to actually make a forward run or something like that. And that's me being very basic, who doesn't know much about tactics and all this kind of stuff. But off the ball, the work rate's been amazing. And Leonie Joyce, leading goal scorer, she was one of the first ones to get a shot away at the start of the season against Wolves, and she got a couple of shots away against Burnley, I believe, from what I remember. So for her to then start turning those attempts into goals, oozes confidence. You can see she's got a good relationship with a lot of the players as well. She's very upbeat, very positive. Loves the social media as well, which is great for us.
Just a strange can't park a car correctly.
Absolutely, which is instigated a couple of songs there from Anthony Wilson. But as a great character, still young as well. I'm sure she's only 19. So a lot more to come from Leo, and I feel that Leo is still young, but I feel like we know her already for so long because she's been on the scene since like 16, 17. So
definitely.
So I've not been let down by any of those three. We haven't been let down by any of the three, but those three do stand out because they've played quite a lot of games and performed well.
Yeah, definitely. And let's give the plaudits to our defenders as well. Obviously, it's easy to speak about the goals, but stopping them is a whole different thing. And we did that against Halifax, which was our first clean sheet in
since
a while.
Maybe.
Yeah, a while at least. So yeah, absolutely fair play to them lot. Let's talk about Meg Hadley to start off with. Obviously, coming back to the club, we knew what she was about already, and I think she's just carried on in the same sort of form that she left in. Really, you know, consistent performances. Really, really good, both defensively and going forward as well. Yeah, it's good to have Meg back, isn't it?
100%, and we said this at the start. For me, I just, when I think of Meg Hadley, I was thinking of that Burnley game, that first half against a player that's so quick, and she kept her quiet. Managed to probably get about 2 or 3 crosses in against her, bearing in mind we had 45 minutes of Burnley against us, we win the penalty and we score the penalty, but generally every attack was coming towards us, well, and so Meg Hadley was really up against it, and she stopped practically everything that game, and I think that first half kind of showed what she can do, and I think as a fullback you can kind of get caught out by some of like speedier players, so like it's very rare that you'll see a centre midfielder run half the length of a pitch and get past a few people, unless if you're Tottenham men's team against Man United men's team, where you do see that. But generally that kind of happens down the wing. So Meg Hadley's up against some very fast players in this league, you know, Nottingham Forest and Burnley, just to name a couple of teams that are very fast on the wing, and she managed to deal with that in that game. And I believe she had a good game against Forest as well, even though I wasn't there, but I heard that, you know, she done her bit to support the team there as well. It doesn't surprise me that she started every game. She's an athlete as well, and she does look after herself, and she practices what she preaches. It's a nice performance, and I'm glad that she's got back into that starting 11 and shown what she can do.
100%, yeah. Someone that I reckon is probably going a bit under the radar at the moment. Someone, obviously, you're paired alongside in your defence with Tilly Fanson, that we've come to know is a fantastic defender. But Erin Griffith is doing really well as well this season. Obviously played right back a bit as well, but you know, as a centre back is very experienced. Already had half a year in Tier 3 with us. So yeah, you know, I think Erin's really come on well this season, and yeah, I think she's doing really well, especially alongside Tilly.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was my favoured back two centre backs after seeing about 2 or 3 games. Yeah, I think Thea for me is more of a CDM. So when Rosie's not available, or if you want to play 2, I think she's better at breaking up the play in the midfield. And I think we've seen that. I think Thea's best games have been in the centre midfield kind of role. So for me, your best 2 centre backs, especially like Lou Butcher, leaving to go to light since our last video. You know, to me that is your centre back pairing. We know how good Erin is. We mentioned it on many podcasts previous. And yeah, I think it's interesting to see who the leader is in that back line. I think because Rose is so close to the centre back pairing, you know, she can use her experience to kind of dictate who goes where. But for me, yeah, we know that Erin does go under the radar. But she did go under the radar last year. We knew how good she was going to be. You know, we was very happy, wasn't we, when she re-signed coming back from Wolves. We was very happy, so we knew what she was capable of. And I guess we're seeing it in this one, aren't we?
100%. And then finally, on our little defensive trio, Lizzie Bennett still. Obviously, good to see her back. She hasn't played a massive amount of football, got a few injury struggles, I think, so far this season. But yeah, getting a goal against Middlesbrough, I want to say, was obviously really good. So yeah, it's nice to see her back on the field, isn't it?
Yeah, for me, you mentioned about Erin Griffiths going under the radar. For me, Lizzie Bennett still is one of the most underrated players that I think we've had in the last 12 months. I appreciate she doesn't play every game, but I just think she's so calm, and she can just do things that probably just goes a little bit unnoticed. I thought she was quite comfortable against West Bromwich Albion as well when she came on.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess, okay, you could argue that the game was probably already won, but I would like to see Lizzie play a lot more on in the team. So I wouldn't want to keep anybody out. However, as a right back, I think she's absolutely great.
Definitely.
And obviously she can get forward, but it's not very often you're going to get forward in this league. So sometimes you just have to have a look at the defensive duties and the structure that you play and the places that you are on the pitch. And she almost looks like, you know, she does look a natural on there. So I just don't think we speak as a fan base as much as we should about Lizzie Bennett still. But I suppose that's because, one, she goes about her business quietly, but two, she doesn't play as often as some. But one of my favourites, not favourite players this season, but I think favourite moments in regards to how comfortable she was against Albion. She just stood out. I don't know if it's because she was right there in front of us, so I was kind of watching her a little bit more. But she just looked okay on the field, so I'd like to see her start more matches. I really would.
Definitely, I think it was always going to be tough for her when she came in, wasn't it? Because we weren't really playing a full back. We were playing more of the wing back system, and obviously we had Daisy on the one side and Zoe Clark on the other side. So that's a tough team to get into when you're playing that position. But I think she did well last season, and hopefully, we've seen her a couple of times, maybe three, already this season. So hopefully a few more. Get rid of those injury problems and properly get a spell of games under her belt. And I think we'll probably see the best of Lizzie Bennett still. And like you say, one of those players with tier 3 experience. Yeah. So we know how valuable that is as well.
Massively.
Moving on now, the Lincoln trio. Obviously, we know them well. Tilly Phantom, China McIntosh, and Sinead as well, who we haven't got to see just yet.
Well, obviously, nice to see that Sinead does still attend the games.
Yeah, definitely.
She's still a massive part of it, which I do want to shout out because I've seen at the Royal Memorial at least twice. Seen at the away game against Bolmere. She's probably been to several others. I know she did during pre-season, so it is nice that she's still in and around the team, and I think that's really important. So I think that goes a long way. I think it does. Definitely. I think a lot of players might decide to have just time off, and it's a big travel. I don't know if she's from Leicestershire or where some of the other Lincoln players, former Lincoln players, live, but if she does, that's still a long way to come, isn't it? So I think that's worth shouting out.
Yeah, definitely 100%. But talking about these two then, China and Tilly, obviously we've spoken millions of times about Tilly and how good she is. I think for me, if it's not Harriet, it probably is Tilly as our standout so far. She's a phenomenal player. She's a proper solid centre back, but so quick as well, and absolutely loves a slide tackle. A Tilly Phantom slide tackle is sometimes the highlight of my evening sometimes. But she's absolutely brilliant at centre half, and she's still so young as well. I didn't realise, when we brought her in, that she was as young as she is. To have her, alongside Erin or whoever it might be at the back, Thea, she definitely adds bucket loads of ability to our back line.
I think she's very confident, isn't she? She comes across confident in a game. She makes a decision. It's not like she stutters and thinks, okay, shall I go for the ball? Shall I not? Shall I go here? Shall I go there?
Yeah.
You can see that she makes a decision and she goes for it 100%.
Yeah.
And that's just one little attribute. I think she ticks a lot of boxes. And as a fan, I can see why. We would like Tilly Phantom. I do. I think she gets the crowd roaring. With them tackles. I think she's very approachable, and she approaches the fans as well. Whereas some of the players who are young, they're probably not used to reacting to fans. They're probably just used to, playing your game, and then after your game, you listen to your manager's team talk, and then go to your parents and go back to the car. I think Tilly's one of these that does like to interact, and I do consider her as a very good tier 3 player.
Yeah.
But with a tier 3 player, it's not just about on the pitch; it's about how you deal with things off the pitch as well. And I think she has really stepped up to being a tier 3 player, bearing in mind that she was in the bottom half of tier 4 last year. That's where Lincoln finished. She's really rose to the occasion, and she's still on her way up, in my opinion. So massive shout out. I don't need to say much more because I think every other fan says it as well, and we've said it a few on these podcasts. But just fantastic player. Yeah.
Exactly that. China as well. Someone that we've not seen too much of recently, was involved in quite a few of the earlier games in the league. But just really solid. We're really solid. I like China a lot. I think she's one of the most consistent players in our squad. You know what you're getting from her.
Yeah.
Just an absolute solid fullback. And I think that's what we need as well. If that's someone that is going to come on and try and shore up a game and just hold down a wing for us, I think China can do that because I think she's got a lot of attributes that are very, very good. I really enjoy seeing China. Hopefully we can see her a bit more involved soon. Potentially maybe injury problems is keeping her out at the moment. I'm not too sure, but it'd be great to see her. Hopefully this week back has aided quite a few of them. The week away get a few of them, properly back and raring to go for this Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if she was brought in to be a starter, but she certainly started a few games at the start of the season, and didn't look any out of place compared to the rest of the team, did she? So yeah, come straight in, done a job for us, and yeah, hopefully get to see a bit more of her.
Definitely. Our second little trio here is the Leafield trio, as they've been dubbed. Shauna McCann-Lloyd, Gwen, and Thea as well. Obviously, we know all about Thea coming back. She's played almost a different position to what we saw her in initially. We saw her as, I believe, what we described her when she first arrived was the Ellie McGovern but Ellie McGovern understudy almost. But yeah, she's played there a bit, but she's also played, I'd say maybe the majority of the games she's played at centre back. And yeah, I think she's done well there. She is a strong player. She's good on the ball, obviously, in the midfield and at centre half. Personally, I think I prefer her a bit further forward. I think she did an amazing job at Halifax at breaking down the attack before it even got to the centre halves. So yeah, that's a really good skill to have in there, especially when we were missing Rosie as well. She just came in and really did well on that day. How do you think Thea's gone on so far? Yeah,
I can't really add much more to what you said. I agree with that. I think her best two games have been where she has been more of a midfield-based player. I'm sure she wants to play every game, but if she's like a Rosie Embley kind of understudy, or someone to play alongside Rosie in some capacity, I would like to see more in the midfield than the defence. But let's see, because there's a few players I'm sure that the positions aren't nailed down, and I've got a feeling that the centre midfield might still be up for grabs. Maybe one of those places might be up for grabs, and across the back line we've seen, as you mentioned, Erin going out wide, so does that free up a place for or Tilly going out wide, does that free up a place for Thea to be on the pitch? So I still think there's two or three positions that are kind of up for grabs, that's not been nailed down, and I think Thea's a big part of that.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And these two as well, the other two Leafield newcomers, I'm a really big fan of. Shauna McCann-Lloyd and Gwen as well. Gwenny Esther, as she's more widely known. But yeah, Gwen, let's talk about her first of all. We saw in that first pre-season game we went to how good that she was, just linking everything together. The wingers, the balls from the defensive midfield into the strike force, everywhere it needs to go. She looks like a really tidy player in that 10 little role.
I think because she started so well in regards to pre-season, you was naturally watching her. Whereas some of the other players have kind of developed over time or took our eyes over time, because obviously as fans we don't watch some of the boring stuff, we just watch like the flamboyant stuff. Gwen had that at the start, when we first started watching, so we saw those passes that caused trouble, and even in the most recent game that I watched, I can't remember, Albion actually, it was against Albion, even though we lost that game, it was her that was trying to put those passes across, those diagonal balls across, and I just thought she does have a big part to play. It's just so hard because playing in that position, you're up against, again, a lot of quality players, aren't you? And it's so hard for her to probably get that time on the ball, to find those positions, to find those passes, and then when you have got the ball and you have got the time, is everybody around you making the runs that they need to make. So, she's playing in a position where you could be a real hero because you could make that killer pass. But also you're also crowded out by a couple of very strong centre midfielders as well. So she's got a very tough game, to play. However, she seems to have still stabilised and got a lot of fans on side, hasn't she?
100%. Yeah. I think the way she goes about it as well. Obviously, she's not the tallest or the biggest player at all. But she's got that low centre of gravity, that Messi, that Iniesta sort of centre of gravity.
I like that.
But she's done really well, and hopefully we can see a few more of those pinpoint balls and our strikers latching on the end of them and getting a few more assists to her name as well.
Yeah, I like to think so, and I'm going to talk about Shauna McCann-Lloyd, and I just want to start it by saying that she's probably the one that I've been surprised about the most. Her and probably Tilly Phantom, because I didn't know much about Tilly Phantom when she came in. Didn't know much about Shauna. Obviously, we did our research, didn't we? She, on that left hand side, keep certain people out of the team.
Yeah.
Because she deserves to be there. So when she's playing well, and you've got to then start thinking to yourself, okay, how am I going to get this person on the pitch? It forces Aid to make a choice, and it's a great choice from a fan's point of view because we can't get it wrong. We're just watching a game, so to play on that left side of attack, which I'd probably call it. And Aid has stuck to that, by the way. It does look like there's always 3 attacking players, whether it would be like a 4-3-3 or a 4-5-1 with the 2 wingers being up. I don't know how you want to phrase it, but we have always got 3 attacking players on the pitch, maybe 4 sometimes. Like Bolmir, you might as well say that Daisy was an attacking player as well. What Sean has done is she's created a problem. So if you didn't think she was going to get into the starting 11 based on what other players we had in the team, then you've been wrong because she thoroughly deserved a chance. And that goal as well. Do you want to describe that goal?
I mean,
okay.
That's one of the best goals I've seen a Stourbridge player score in a long time. So she's just she's seen the keeper off a line first of all from about, I want to say about 35, maybe even 40 yards. But she just caught it so sweetly and sealed the game for us because that win against Halifax meant so much to us. So if that, I think that might have been like the 80th minute when she scored that.
Yeah.
And that's when a 2-0 lead, they say, is one of the most dangerous leads in football. So to have that going into the last sort of 10 minutes, possibly a few nerves started to creep in. Could this be our first win of the season?
Mm-hmm.
So I think to have even the confidence to try that.
Yeah.
Again, she seems like a very confident person on and off the pitch, the way she conducts herself. Even the thought to try it, let alone complete it and score the goal itself was absolutely fantastic.
And just a little story on that as well. The VL never actually caught it.
Yeah.
So yeah. How good it is that it scored such a worldie. Brilliant. And she's really a pleasant surprise. Absolutely.
100%. Our last little. I guess it's a trio now that we'll just touch on this really quickly. Grace Murphy has linked up with Redditch Borough from Stourbridge. Not really 100% sure if it's a dual reg situation or if she's fully moved on from the club. But obviously, best of luck to her.
Massive signing for Redditch, by the way.
100%.
They just signed Catherine Pagan as well. Got a fantastic manager. That's a side there that should be pushing for promotion in Tier 5 next year. So. All the best to Grace Murphy. Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely, 100%. Let's talk about the trio that are here at Stourbridge: Jess Hood, Phoebe Hill, and Frid Clark. Let's talk about Jess Hood first of all. Again, someone that surprised me. I've not started a massive amount of games, maybe only the one, but she's someone that can come off the bench. As we've lost power. But someone that can come off the bench and give you a bit of
that's a giveaway. Thursday, 3rd of October.
You can see how much we prep for this.
Just getting ready for the Porto game.
You can see how much she brings to the team when she comes on. A bit of pace, a bit of quality down the wing. Whipping a few balls in. I want to say Boldmere. When she came on and she put in a couple of decent crosses, and on another day those could have easily found their way into the back of the net. So fair play to her. She's really done well so far.
I'm glad you said that one, and especially highlighted the Boldmere game because that's the one where I was doing commentary, so I kind of recognised her a bit more. She has been not my super sub, but I think if you need someone to make a bit of an impact in a game in regards to running at tired legs or just something, just to create something, I think she's someone that's gone under the radar. So we're talking about going under the radar a little bit. Although maybe she hasn't gone under the radar because I think 2 or 3 other people have mentioned this to me as well. As we've got a load of geese.
Attacked by a swarm of geese, so it sounds.
I think she's a fantastic winger, someone who can run with the ball. My kind of player, to be fair. I'd like to see more of her. I suppose we'll see more of her in maybe a county cup game, which is probably it sounds bad because it's almost like it's like below her. She should be playing, in my opinion, in the leagues as well. But who are you going to sacrifice because you've got Shona McCann, Lloyd there in that position as well. But for me, you've got to try and get her on the pitch as often as you can because she's like a bundle of energy, isn't she? Real good.
Definitely. Speaking of bundles of energy, another player, slightly different position in central midfield that I really like so far Phoebe Hill.
Mhm.
I think she's absolutely quality, to be honest. I think she was on holiday for a brief period, maybe
Yeah,
2 weeks or
2
so.
weeks.
So she didn't play the Middlesbrough game and potentially the Forest game, and
Yeah.
maybe somewhere in between that as well.
Yeah.
But I think she's absolutely quality. I think she brings a lot to the midfield, a bit of technical quality that potentially sometimes we miss. Very very good on the ball. Likes to dribble, likes to find those passes. I really like seeing her in that position.
Yeah, someone that we kind of had high hopes for because we saw her in the past. So
Yeah.
because we saw her for that one game, and it was only one game for our development side. Everything she touched was turned to gold in that game. So we did kind of have high hopes, and it's going to be interesting to see what that combination is in that midfield three. And it might vary from game to game depending on who you're playing in. But she did start every game until she went on holiday, and that kind of opened up a position for Grace Rogers to kind of play a few games. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to decide on who kind of nails down that spot. I was talking about a few spaces that are still kind of up for grabs. I feel that one of the centre midfielder roles is one of those positions, and she could obviously offer something different to some of the other players. Height as well. I think headed the ball. When from a goal kick or from a crossfield or even a corner kick or a set piece. Her height. You'd like to think that is obviously a benefit. Obviously, she can offer a lot more than just height. But I think it's going to be interesting to see. And maybe Ada doesn't even need to make that choice. You can go from game to game, spicing it up, which he has kind of done so far. But competition for places is there to see, isn't it, in that centre of the park?
Yeah, I think that's so important as well, because you don't want people sort of getting lazy and thinking, this position, it's mine. Like there's no one else in this squad that can do it like I do. I think it's important to have that within your squad. Keeps people hungry, keeps people putting in those performances which you need. I think it's absolutely vital that we have that. Frid Clark, our last one from the Birmingham Academy.
Yeah.
I think we haven't seen her a lot recently actually, but Boldmere, that debut, that cameo off the bench debut might be one of the best cameo off the bench debuts I've seen from a Stourbridge player, because what a night she had in Boldmere.
Again, I was commentating on this one, and I was like, unbelievable, like a brand new player to the team, to the squad, to actually come on, score. I think she either hit the ball, hit the post, or created something else. It wasn't just a goal that she did. She done something else on top of that in that second half.
Yeah.
On top of a very good game from the whole team as well. So I think that was just like the icing on the cake. And unfortunately, we haven't seen much of her since. But again, you got to bear in mind that the competition that she's got, at the top of the field, she is more of an out-and-out striker. We mentioned this on the match reaction against Boldmere. She's a different type of striker. But it's great to be able to recall on her if we need to.
Yeah.
Does she fit into Aid's system or the way that Aid wants to play as much as some of the other strikers? Maybe not. Maybe that's what's keeping her away from the side at the moment. But to know that you've always got her to fall back on, it's going to be a good thing, absolutely. Yeah. So I want to see more of her in some shape or form.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then the final four that unfortunately don't fit into any of our little trios here. We'll speak about them individually though. Liv Ashfield first off. Again, a player that we haven't seen massive amounts of. I think she came on against Halifax.
Yeah.
Potentially played a few other games for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a tidy little player. Seems like a really really good impact player, which I think is important. To have that in the squad, obviously. So yeah, Liv Ashfield, obviously a good player for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think again we spoke about Sinead coming to games when she's not able to play. We've seen that as well with her as well, and we haven't seen enough. And I think you'll recognise that maybe 3 or 4 of these players are just left to speak about. We just haven't seen enough of them. We might know a little bit about them from the past, but it's really important that we do get to see all these players at some point, whether it be a County Cup game or an FA Cup game in the early stages, because these are all quality players that can add something to the team, and if they are called upon, they need to be on their A game, even if it's a Tier 3 league game, don't we? So somehow they need to start playing games, and I'm sure that'll come. The FA Cup hasn't even started yet, the County Cup hasn't started yet, so maybe that's where we'll start seeing some of these players. all bright sparks. We've seen all of them play at some point, haven't we? It's just a case of just not enough compared to the rest, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll still speak about them regardless, though. Our next one, Jess Howard.
You've seen a bit more of her.
Yeah, seen a bit more of her. Yeah, again, a solid fullback. Very much like China in the way that she's just a solid, consistent fullback.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, it's going to be tough for her with players like Meg Hadley and Lizzie and Erin if he wants to play Erin at fullback. Like we say with the midfielders, competition for places at fullback as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, she's a really, really solid player, isn't she?
Yeah, coming from Solihull Moors as well, so obviously, much like a lot of the players, it's a step up, but she seems to have reacted to it. Obviously, she played against West Brom, so we saw her play there as well. And I didn't even know she was going to be a fullback. I thought she was going to be playing further up the pitch, so maybe that's a role that she can do to get on the field at some point as well. Again, you can't keep everybody happy, can you? If you've got 15 players that's done very well for you, and we've said this from day one, without a reserve team, there's going to be 4 or 5 players that don't even make the match day squad, which is very unfortunate. But it's up to Aid to rotate them, and so long as we can keep hold of these players and keep these players happy, which I'm sure they are, up until the cup games, then obviously their time you'd like to think will come in those cup games. But yeah, impressed with Jess. It's just she's got competition, hasn't she?
Definitely. Our next one, I don't even know if we've spoken about Faring before.
Maybe not, because he came on after the start of the season, didn't he?
Yeah. So anyway, I guess backup keeper, but obviously has played a bit as well. She played in the
second half of the Barmy, wasn't it?
She played in the Middlesbrough game, I'm pretty sure, the full 90.
Yeah.
And then obviously against West Brom, came on after Harriet's sin bin, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, again, it looks like a solid keeper and a very, very solid backup if Harriet is ever away or injured or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it potentially offers something different as well. Is she better with her feet than Harriet? We need to see more from her to determine that, I think. But as the geese are back. But yeah, I think it's really, really important to have that. Obviously, if Harriet were ever to go down, we saw it a lot last season with Jamie going down quite a bit, and we were always a bit worried that we never had sort of backup keeper on the bench. Luckily, it never came to that, but for whatever reason, if it does, we're lucky to have a backup keeper this year.
I think it's really important that you do have a backup keeper, because at this level you can't just throw anyone in, and I'm sure teams have done that, but we've never really been in a position in Stourbridge that we've always had a number of keepers, but we never really used one of our substitutes as a goalkeeper, have we? Because you could argue that it can be a waste. However, a great example was against West Bromwich Albion, where you do need a keeper on the bench just in case, and it looks like that she can obviously step up and do that job.
Yeah, definitely. And the last player that we're going to talk about, Demi Phillips, played a little bit at Halifax. Actually got the assist for Shauna's wonder goal. Yeah. So made an instant impact there. Obviously, we know all about Demi from a time with the Pathway. But a player that I think can just add to what we've already got. She's a really, really solid solid player out wide. Offers a similar amount to players like Daisy and Leo in what she does. Yeah, nice to see her in what she can bring to us going forward.
Absolutely, yeah. We just not seen enough of Rowan, but thankfully we know how capable she is, and I just can't wait for these cup games to start, because that's where it's going to be, isn't it? But we know how good Demi is. We spoke about her a number of times in the past, even maybe like 2 or 3 years ago on this channel. So yeah, she's very versatile. We know that she can play in a number of different positions. Her work rate is fantastic, and I think it was Dave, one of the fans, you might recognise him, DG on Twitter, who actually raved about how good she was before he actually knew who she was, and that was this season or during pre-season or something. So we know how good she can be, and we just need to start playing some games so she can start playing.
100%. We're going to wrap it up here and head on over to Anthony. What's he got to say for himself?
Hello, welcome back to the Glassgirls Network. I am now joined by Anthony Wilson. Anthony, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Bit tired. I think I'll have an early night tonight. I've just had dinner, which was a nice burger and like Asian fries from this burger restaurant place. So that was lovely. So I'm full.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Yeah, you got to love a bit of food and drink, haven't you? Especially going into a weekend. Yeah, thanks for joining me this evening, mate. The idea of this show is to talk a bit about the past, present, and future. So we spoke about the past and the present already with Kieran. So we just want to talk a little bit about the future, like what you're kind of hoping for and what you expect to see from now until Christmas. We're currently at the quarter stage, the quarter mark, 5-6 games in. So now we want to look at the halfway stage, going up to the halfway stage. So first of all, you've been to a couple of games this season, Wolves, and it was the last game that you went to. Sorry, forgot which game it was.
What's wrong with you?
West Brom, yeah, that was the one, yeah. Just,
I have actually seen us win a game.
yeah,
Halifax.
good point, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, just what are your thoughts from like the story so far, I guess, this season.
I'd say nothing's really shocked me, really. Like results wise, Wolves, we never ever seem to do anything against them, really. West Brom, especially at their place, those like Aid said, they're just quicker and that, and yeah, they were just on it. Then you got the Halifax game. Halifax lost a lot of players, but that was definitely Stourbridge's best performance. I can't say much for the other games, but obviously they beat Bolmere in the cup, but then lost in the cups to Middlesbrough. Well, and then yeah, slightly disappointed. You got to be to lose to Hull. One of the games where you'd want at least a point, if not three. So, other than maybe the whole situation, I don't think anything majorly shocking really happened. We know Middlesbrough, we know they're tier 4, are up and coming, and it wouldn't be surprised if they were in tier 3. Hopefully, with Stour remaining there for another season.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you mentioned Hull. I think Hull is probably my only disappointment this season in all the results that we've seen. I think, and even then, just because no, I wouldn't say that we was expected to win, but it was a game that we was probably more likely to win than any other game. For us not to get a win there, that was disappointing. However, you're not going to win every game that I suppose you're expected to win, are you? And I think hopefully it'll balance out over the season where you win some of these games more than you lose them, and you end up with more points than your rivals. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. Going into this season, Anthony, I thought to myself, well, let's win one game in every 5 games. Then that'll give us 12 points with a couple of games spare. Is that how you're kind of looking at it? Are you looking at it? Are you breaking it down, month by
No,
month? Or, no.
I'm just looking at. We've got that many battle league, haven't we? We need to get as many points as we can against the team likes of Hull, Calcer, Halifax, and then hopefully we can get pick up a few points, such as against teams, maybe against West Brom at home. Hopefully this weekend or just gone. I don't know when you're planning to release this, but hopefully we'll get a good result against Liverpool Feds, where we were not far from getting 2 draws against them last season, but they scored a last-minute winner at Stour.
We've got obviously Liverpool Feds coming up. We've got Derby as well at some point. I think that's before Christmas as well. Are these kind of games that you're just like hoping to get like maybe a draw from? Do you think that's a realistic ambition?
Yeah. I'd like to. I think we're more likely to get a point against Liverpool Feds than Derby. Obviously, you've got another game against Wolves before Christmas. I think, if I remember rightly, it's
Yeah.
November the 17th. against Wolves, I'd be happy if we just scored one goal against them. We just can't even seem to score against Wolves. Never mind try and get a point or a win against them.
Yeah. Now, I see what you're saying. So you talk about that bottom cluster. Obviously, Kelsey's in that bottom cluster. Got no points just yet. They haven't played any of the bottom teams, so I think that's something to bear in mind. They haven't played well Halifax or ourselves yet, so I think that'll obviously go in their favour. But yeah, 27th of October, that game is at home. That'll be the 9th game of the season. So that'll be, if you do get a win there, that'll be my kind of prediction on track. 1 win in every 5. Do you think it's the game that we're likely to win, or can you see Kelsey doing something different and getting a result there, or what are your thoughts on that Kelsey game?
If we play how we know we can to full potential, and that, I can't see why we couldn't beat Kelsey. Hopefully, there'll be a good crowd behind us, but which I'm not sure. Obviously, I haven't been to any games this season at the War Memorial Ground yet, so I've heard attendance is a bit lower. But hopefully, we can plunge to try and convince people to come and support the girls, because even though there's a lot of changes, they're a great bunch of girls. Obviously got a couple of oldies like Mill and Meg that's come back, but then the other girls are great as well. Obviously got Tilly Phantom. She's a great character. Leonie Joyce, many others that have come. So even though we've had a lot of players going, that it doesn't mean you should stop coming to watch the games because things have slightly changed.
Yeah, bang on, absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned Leonie Joyce there, so Leonie will be against her old team in Kelsey. Neve Deasy's coming back against her old team in Stourbridge. What are you looking forward to the most in that game? Because it does tell quite a few stories. Obviously, Kelsey last year was in a different league to us. They was below us, and they've been promoted, and they're one of our direct rivals for players as well as Tier 3 status. What are your thoughts? Because that's it's a massive game, isn't it? What are you looking forward to?
Well, yeah, it's a massive game. It's a game we must avoid defeat. I'm looking forward to try and put Daisy off. We all know what Neve's about. If she gets a chance, she score. But I feel like we can stop her if we're onto her quite quick. Because I would say she's not the quickest pace wise, so if she gets that yard where she can have a chance, then you are, and you can be in danger potentially. So hopefully, as much as I love Daisy and that, hopefully we don't even realise she's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's going to be an exciting one. I don't know when Kelsey play Halifax. However, I think they play Hull before Christmas. So I think if we win Kelsey, that'll be 6 points before Christmas, which I think will be enough to keep us out of the relegation area. Fingers crossed, going into Christmas Day. And then our first game after that, if the fixtures stay as they are, will be against Hull, albeit away. It's a great way to kick on, isn't it? If we do build a bit of momentum going into Christmas, keep the spirits up, and then go on to January the 5th, I presume, somewhere around that time, away to Hull. All of a sudden, we could really kickstart 2025, couldn't we?
Yeah, of course, and they'll want to make up for the disappointment against Hull from the War Memorial Ground. I find the first game after Christmas can always be a bit of a challenging one, regardless of who you are. Obviously, we had a good result, but we played. I think, if I remember rightly, it was Filed last season.
Yeah,
that was our one of our only last wins. I think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. We spoke a bit about the league, Anthony. About the cups. So obviously, the National League Cup has has gone, but the County Cup hasn't even started yet, neither has the FA Cup. What are your thoughts there? What are your kind of ambitions realistically, as well as how important are they? How important are these cups to us, do you think?
County Cups, one. Like to try and progress as far a bit, but it's getting harder, isn't it? The structure of it, I'm pretty sure. Is it right? Do they have some academy teams in the County Cup now?
Yeah. So we had rugby introduced last year, as well as Birmingham Academy and Villa Academy. So yeah, if they take that seriously, then we know how good those academies are. But the draw could be on our side. You never know. And also, will other clubs maybe rest a few players? I know. I'm sure that Aiden want to get to get some wins under his belt in a cup competition. So it's definitely one to go for.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. With the FA Cup, I would say hopefully get one or two rounds. We're not playing so glamorous teams, but win, and then who knows, get a potential massive tie. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Man United down at the War Memorial?
Well, we say this every year, don't we? I think
We do, yeah.
Ever since Sheffield United, but I generally think that we have got a chance. We got so unlucky last year playing Wolves away. Any tier 4 team, we should be looking at beating. No matter what. If we're tier 3, we've got to be looking at a tier 4 side and beating them. And then you never know. Some of the tier 3 teams, we should be looking at having a chance. So we have a couple of tier 5, tier 4 teams, and all of a sudden the championship sides are in, and then who knows? But yeah, a big draw down at the War Memorial Ground. Obviously, get a bit of money and get a bit of fans in. I think that's the ultimate aim, is it, for the FA Cup, just to bring a bit of money in. 100%, yeah.
Yeah, of course. But you can't discard the tier 4 sides. Look at Middlesbrough; they did a job on us, and they're tier 4. So
yeah,
who's to say, even if you get a tier 4 team, that you will progress?
Absolutely, yeah. Just off the pitch, Anthony. Obviously, you're a massive advocate of. I suppose you could sound like raising the bar in regards to match day standards and this, that, and the other. Just before you give this answer to the question I'm about to give, just give people a bit of a background in your women's football. So a lot of people might not have met you before, Anthony. There's been a lot of changes this season.
Yeah, they've probably heard me.
Yeah, they might have heard of you, quite literally. Yeah, but no, just give people a bit of an insight into your background before Stourbridge, before we go on.
Oh, so basically, started getting into women's football the end of 2017. Went and watched a few Brighton games before Man United ladies made a team, came back and established their first team. Went to watch United ladies quite often. That's where I met you. And then one day it was Man United Birmingham in Birmingham. Stourbridge were in the FA Cup against Kiddie. You said I'll come along, and yeah, the rest is history. I started off slowly by being slightly vocal, but then that once I got that game, funnily enough, against Kiddie away towards the end of the season, there was no turning back. But it was strange at first because not used to it. So you could see them all laughing and giggling, but they must have been thinking, "Oh God, who's this pisshead? Where's he come from?"
I'm sure they did. But they certainly welcomed you in as are the players this season as well. Absolutely. So I guess my question now is, how would you like to visualise? You mentioned the Wolves game before Christmas as well. I've got the date of that written down.
17th of November, isn't it?
Yeah, 17th of November. How would you like to visualise that game? What are your thoughts if you're standing, behind the goal as you tend to do? What would you like to see around to really try and wish the girls on, to push the girls on, and to give the players what they deserve? In tier 3 football.
Yeah, just a big crowd, build up with match day experience. It's a Black Country derby. Why not have kids as mascots? I know we did that a lot last season. So yeah, even if they're not going to do it every game this season, um, Black Country derbies. If you can't do it for them or big massive games, if you draw one in the FA Cup, then I don't know. I don't know when you are going to do, but yeah, it'd be great if. And then who knows? Well, we can always dream. Who knows? If we funny football results do happen. Look at Villa last night against Bayern Munich, 1-0. Could you imagine that? Stamford Bridge 1, Wolves 0. Leonie Joyce.
I want Leonie Joyce to save her goal against Calsa, whether it be this month or at the end of the season. I think it's the 21st game of the season. I think it's planned in. So I want Leonie to. Well, having said that, though, Wolves, it was a former team as well, wasn't it? So yeah,
Yes,
oh, yeah,
it
correct
was.
myself there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony, thanks for joining me. Just one last question before you go. You've made up a lot of new songs this year, some funny ones as well. Have you got any favourites this year with some of the new players?
Yeah, I've had a bit of time to think about it. I like Tilly Phantoms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leonie's got a new comical one. That'll be getting aired on Sunday about cars.
Yeah.
They've popped to mind. Obviously, out of the old Mill Rogers one that she gave me to sing, I really like that one as well. So no, even though there's a lot of classic ones gone, there's still some very good ones I get to sing. And
Yeah, absolutely.
To, sing them on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll definitely be looking out for them or listening out for them, 100%. Look, thanks for joining me again today, mate. We'll have to do this more often. And have a safe journey up here. Yeah, and I'll see you again soon, mate.
Yes, definitely, mate. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.